Right, just so you know, there's a distinct possibility of possible spoilers. There is also, quite certainly, footnotes. If you don't want to watch until after you've seen
The Year of the Sex Olympics,
feel free. On the other hand, you're missing the footnotes. Right, hello, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whatever it is, wherever you happen to be. He says, my name is Paul. I'm the man behind Knickknacks Hold Peculiar, the blog. I'm also the man behind the Daily Teaser. Hopefully you will see them floating past on YouTube or on the net, or you will see them tucked in the corner there behind the little card. I also talk about TV shows I've watched and films I've seen as well. Tonight is the 23rd of May. It's a nice cool breeze coming in through my front window there. It's fairly late. So I'm going to try quickly, to tell you what I saw last night. The drama in question was the 1968/69 TV play by Nigel Neal called The Year of the Sex Olympics. I saw it last night and I wanted to tell you what I thought. Set in a distant future, The Year of the Sex Olympics opens with a title card showing us the ominous line, "Sooner than you think," and then, after showing us a version of the Olympic logo that blurs into a version of the same logo, made up of Mars and Venus symbols, the little circles with a cross underneath or an arrow pointing upwards, it then shifts to show us Output, the control centre of the sports sex show, where Mish, Vickery Turner, is announcing the contestants in tonight's episode, watched by technicians Nat, Tony Vogel, and Lazar, Brian Cox. Or at least she's being watched by Nat and Lazar. All three are being overseen by the station's coordinator, Hugo Priest, Leonard Rossiter. In a future where the great mass of the population, the low drives, are kept quiet by the high drives, folks like Hugo, Nat and Lazar and Mish, the ones who are in charge of the media, and media showing 101 different types of porn, as well as the occasional food fight. Nat thinks they should be providing something a little bit more educational than a constant stream of sex shows. Mish has nothing but contempt for the audience and the people that make up their ratings panels. Hugo, the boss, has concern for Nat, his best worker, but also for the plummeting ratings that literally are risking disaster for both the planet and the station. Lazar is quietly waiting for his chance to make a TV show that literally will make a killing of the ratings. It's only when a protester is killed, falling off of a gantry, and the audience reacts with hysterical laughter and the ratings go through the roof, that the team, especially the ambitious Lazar, realise they may need an idea pretty damn quickly. Now, what did I make of the Year of the Sex Olympics then? Is this a piece of science fictional as a warning? Is it entertainment? Is it a film? Is it a TV show? What did I know about it? What could I tell you coming out of it? Let me start by telling you the little bits and bobs I do know about the Year of the Sex Olympics. The thing was commissioned in late 1967, I think, for a 69 broadcast, and was written by the late Nigel Neal of Quatermass and the Stone Tape fame. The man is generally agreed to be one of TV's writing geniuses, on a par with Robert Holmes, Dennis Potter, Johnny Spade. He's an authentic literary as well as TV genius. He had also to be offered a lot of raw cash to write this play, as the BBC had sold the film rights for Quatermass without his permission and without actually paying him as well. So the resulting script cost a lot of money, but was also filmed in colour for the BBC Two's anthology drama serial Theatre 625. It was filmed in colour and in a TV system called PAL, P-A-L, phase alternating lines, I believe, off the top of my head, that had a signal made up of 625 scanning lines. At least a video that your TV would play using 625 scanning lines. A video signal that consisted of black and white images with a colour overlay. They were two separate signals broadcast at the same time. It's why you sometimes see them called component video. They had two components, black and white images, colour signal. And it was also the 60s equivalent of high definition TV. It's just it was 625 lines down rather than this many pixels wide and this many deep. The channel's head, David Attenborough, had commissioned a snooker tournament called Pot Black many years ago at around the same time and for the same sort of reason. Snooker, if you know it, is the one game that you can't watch in black and white. It has to be seen in colour so that it and the balls show up. You can see which ball is being aimed for. Pot Black and other colour shows at the time were a form of advert for the service that made them. I believe The Prisoner, which would have been shown on ITV, was also recorded in colour, and again for pretty much the same reasons. It was a big flashy show, it was an entertaining drama, but showing it in colour showed you what ITV could do. It's pretty much the same reason. Colour was the coming thing, like ultra-high digital is today. I also know something else. I know that the year of the Sex Olympics was wiped in the same sort of TV purges that saw so many episodes of Doctor Who and Coronation Street and a whole pile of others completely destroyed. However, a black and white telescene copy was recovered in the 80s, which is effectively the version I watched last night. It was black and white, and while the type of copy that was found had the colour signals embedded in them as black and white dots and in a way that can be extracted, in the same way that colour signals were extracted from some Doctor Who stories, that wasn't done with the year of the Sex Olympics. What you get, if you go out and buy a copy, is just a black and white copy. They've not done a colour version. I'm assuming that's for financial reasons. They haven't been able to work out the figures for it. It's a shame because the costumes, by the look of what I saw last night, the costumes and the set really do deserve the colour treatment. They really do. There's another thing as well. Have you ever heard of reality TV? Things like Big Brother, I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, Survivors, that springs to mind, Love Island. Basically, you get a dozen or so strangers, plonk them in a house or on an island or in a camp, set up a load of closed circuit TVs, film anything that happens in the house or the camp or the tent or what have you, edit it to tell an interesting story, and then broadcast it to an eagerly awaiting audience. The format has been popular with audiences since at least the 90s, with a show called The Real World, I think it was. First thing, they got a bunch of students living in a house together in New York, as I recall. They are popular with production companies because they usually generate a lot of views and they're relatively cheap. The argument I've heard from many about the year of the Sex Olympics, the learned opinion generally is that Nigel Neal predicted many things. The change of language caused by technology, easy access to pornography, and the existence of reality TV. There's a lot I can say there, and possibly should, possibly shouldn't, but probably shouldn't, because I can go on for hours.
It's 22:45.
Thank you, Katie. But there's a lot one can say there, but yes, put simply, I think Nigel Neal had a point or two. language has changed a lot over the years, and I suspect in part we hear a lot more MLE, multicultural London English, since the rise of EastEnders. Go look it up. It's fascinating to read about the thing. I've also heard a bit of the old text speaks, lol, LOL, used as well. People literally saying lol instead of laughing. So in showing a future version of English, I think Neil was onto something. He'd also a few years earlier done what's regarded as the definitive TV version of 1984, complete with Andre Morel and Peter Cushing as Winston Smith. So he would have known about Newspeak. Yes, that language was something I found slightly irritating. But also, yes, he had a point. Language can be changed by technology. Near enough, all of us have got smartphones of some description. We've got laptops or desktops, and we can stream more porn than Lazar, the Brian Cox character, could shake a stick at. I suspect Nigel Neal would not be surprised. Reality TV, on the other hand, I honestly couldn't tell you if Nigel Neal saw Big Brother and all the rest of its cousins coming. But in sketching out the live life show, the reality TV portion of the year of the Sex Olympics, in sketching that out, and sketching out a show that sees its contestants abandoned on a remote island, yes, I'd say Neil predicted it. Certainly made a very good guess at the shape of things to come. There's another question. I told you I could go on. There is another question that I think is possibly relevant in today's streaming video on demand world. Paul, I hear you ask, what was the year of the Sex Olympics? Was it a play, a TV show, or a film you saw last night? At the time, in the late 60s, it was marketed as a TV play, a one-off drama with the potential to be spun off into a series. New Tricks and Strange and Porridge, they all got their starts that way, and I still think it's a shame that Strange wasn't continued any further, but there we go. What can I tell you? But that's how they got their start, as part of a series of one-off plays. I got the impression, watching it last night, that the year of the Sex Olympics wasn't going to go that route. It, like others, was literally a one-off drama. These days, I suspect it would be handled a lot like Tetris, say, given a limited cinematic release so it could qualify for Oscars, and then streamed by whatever service had paid for it, in this case Apple TV. Or it would be like a Field in England from 10 years ago, 2013 that was. It got a TV debut on the same time as its theatrical and VOD release. You could watch it where and when you wanted to watch it. I, at the time, completely misrecorded it, so I had to go and buy a copy from iTunes. There you go, way of the world. But it's something like that. That's how it would be handled today, I think. Personally, I'm happy to call it what it was called at the time, a TV play. We can only imagine what it would be now. Now, I know you're asking all sorts of things, quite possibly asking all sorts of things. The main question, set of questions possibly, is simply this. You're sitting there going, Paul, did you see a good bit of TV? Is it still a warning? Is this something you can recommend to others? The year of the Sex Olympics is a lot of things. It has the most shocking ending, an ending that sees the female lead killed by a murderer on a remote Scottish island. It sees that killer killed by her husband in revenge. It sees the TV executive, the Brian Cox character, who set the murders up, lauded by his colleagues for making a killing of the ratings. And it leaves me thinking a few things. Firstly, Leonard Rossiter's performance as Hugo Prace, the man in charge of output, the man whose despairing face is the last thing we see, the man who's realised that he's just let loose a broadcasting damn monster, has to be the performance of a lifetime. The man had very good comedy timing, but this shows us he can play a very good straight role as well. Secondly, yes, this is a warning. We know that over the years, Big Brother has had to send in security guards to separate at least 2 fighting contestants and take them out of the house. Love Island has had to beef up psychiatric aftercare for its contestants. That is telling us simply by showing us a fictional reality TV show with a fictional murder and people quite happily glued to it. Yes, the year of the Sex Olympics is still a warning. It is still a relevant thing, I think, for today's media world. And yes, finally, the year of the Sex Olympics is very, very, very watchable. Go watch the thing as soon as you possibly can. I will see you the next time I review some TV or a film. Stick around for the postscripts or footnotes. I will see you
the next time I see you.
Right, I had known Brian Cox and Leonard Rossiter were in the year of the Sex Olympics, but it was only last night I realised that having somebody called Cox in a play called The Year of the Sex Olympics was very funny. If you're 12. At any rate, Brian Cox in his younger days, and in specifically his appearance in this show, reminded me quite a bit of the very late, great Dave Allen. Right, just so you know, the protester I've mentioned in the review is a character called Kin, played by Martin Hodder, double checking my script here, and he's one of the team's co-workers. He's a co-worker at Lazar and Nat. He's already hijacked a broadcast to get his art aired on the station, and presumably isn't doing a protest. He's actually trying to get more of his art shown on the station. His attempted hijacking always reminded me of the by now notorious Max Headroom incident. Go Google for that. It's a fascinating thing to hear about. Right, just as a last bit of technical information, and it's technical information I have to admit I am no expert with, please feel free to consult Wikipedia and tell me where I'm going wrong, but I'm aware that old-fashioned TVs had cathode ray tubes in them. There goes my phone. And those cathode ray tubes would receive the video signal and turn it into a viewable picture by firing a beam of electrons at the back of the screen you and me would be watching, and they would do that 625 times a frame, 25 frames a second. It suddenly occurred that 25 is 5 squared, and I believe 625 is another power of 5, but don't quote me. Whether that's significant as well, I really couldn't say.